Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Today's truth is this: she's not calling. She's silent, but she's thinking about you every night. That silence you're hearing isn't always peace. Sometimes it's a storm she's fighting within herself. A woman may not reach out. She may not text. But that doesn't mean she's forgotten you. There's a truth men learn too late, that distance and silence don't always equal disinterest. In fact, the most powerful memories, the ones that haunt and pull, are often nurtured in silence. And the man who walks away with dignity, who doesn't chase, who doesn't beg, is often the man she thinks about when the world quiets down. In this video, we're going to break down the psychology behind her silence, the emotional battles she hides, and how you, as a man of depth and presence, can understand the unseen power of your absence. You'll discover what her silence really means, how your self-control triggers her emotions, the ancient truth about distance and desire, and how to become unforgettable without chasing a single soul. So sit with this message, breathe deep, don't rush, drop a comment below if you've ever walked away in silence but felt like her energy still lingered. And stay tuned till the end. This may be the perspective shift your heart needs. Chapter 1. The silent echo. What her silence really means. She's not calling, she's not texting, she's not checking in. And for a man who gave her something real, that silence can feel like betrayal. You start questioning everything. Was it all in my head? Did she ever really feel anything? How can someone switch off so easily? But pause for a moment. Breathe. Step out of emotion and into wisdom. Because silence, when it comes from a woman who once felt deeply, is never as simple as it seems. See, women are emotional beings, deeply intuitive, layered with feelings they often won't voice. When they pull away or go quiet, it's rarely because they've stopped caring. It's because something inside is speaking louder than their ability to reach out. Silence is not the absence of feeling. It's often the evidence of emotional conflict. She's not calling because she's trying to protect her pride, because her emotions are still raw, because reaching out would mean risking rejection or appearing weak. Especially in today's world, where emotional honesty is often punished with power games, women hold back even when their hearts are full. But here's the ancient truth most men forget. The more power you had in her life, the harder it is for her to forget you. Not power through manipulation or control, but power through presence, through calm, through the way you made her feel safe, seen, and soft, without ever demanding it. That kind of man doesn't fade. He lingers. He echoes in the background of her thoughts long after the messages stop. And when she lies awake at night, scrolling, distracting herself, laughing at things she doesn't feel, she still thinks about you. She remembers the sound of your voice, the way your hand fit the small of her back, the way you didn't force her to open up, but she did anyway. Here's what most men don't understand. Women often detach in silence as a form of self-protection. It's her shield. It's her way of taking control of an emotional dynamic she no longer knows how to navigate. But underneath that calm exterior is tension. She's overanalyzing every detail. She's remembering your last conversation. She's wondering if you're thinking about her too. And when you don't reach out, when you maintain your center, when you keep your dignity intact and don't fall into emotional desperation, it doesn't push her away. It actually brings you deeper into her thoughts, because now you've shown her something rare. You're not chasing, you're not collapsing, you're not feeding her ego, you're holding frame. And whether she admits it or not, this triggers something primal in her. A woman's attraction isn't just built on what a man gives her, it's built on what he withholds with wisdom. It's built on his ability to remain grounded when emotions try to shake him. In ancient teachings, from Stoic philosophy to Eastern wisdom, this type of masculine presence is revered. The man who doesn't need to control, the man who knows when to act and when to be still, the man who knows the power of restraint. When you walk away with composure, You teach her something most men never do, that your love is not desperation, that your presence is not negotiable, that your value doesn't vanish when she stops calling. This forces her into emotional reflection, and reflection is where attraction deepens, because now you're not just a man she dated. You become a symbol of calm in a chaotic world. You become the what if she replays, the memory she romanticizes even if she doesn't fully understand why. She's not calling, but every night, in the quiet moments when distractions fade, her mind drifts back to you. Not because you begged, not because you chased, but because you didn't. Let that sink in. You didn't lose her because you stayed silent. You became unforgettable because you did. She'll laugh with others. She'll post photos. She might even date someone new. But deep down, she'll feel the difference. No one commands her emotions the way you did, because no one held himself the way you do. That's the kind of power society doesn't teach men anymore, but here, in the Stoic Golden Tribe, we do. So don't be fooled by her silence. Watch how life unfolds. Watch what happens when you stay rooted in your value, because the man who understands the language of silence becomes the man she can't stop thinking about. Drop a comment if you've ever walked away and felt her energy still pull toward you. Chapter 2. Why emotional control makes her crave you even more. Let's get something clear. In a world that tries to confuse men, belittle masculinity, and glorify emotional overreaction, emotional control is your superpower, not just for yourself, but in the eyes of a woman. A woman may say she wants a man to open up, to be more emotional, to show more vulnerability. And yes, emotional depth matters. But emotional control, not emotional chaos, is what makes her crave you. Here's why. A woman's emotional world is like the ocean, beautiful, wild, deep, and often unpredictable. She doesn't need another wave crashing beside her. She needs the shore. She needs grounding. She needs a man who can witness her storm without being pulled into it. This is the man who becomes unforgettable, the one she can't help but return to in her mind, even when she tries to move on, because he made her feel something rare, safe inside her own chaos. Now let's talk about attraction, real, feminine attraction. It isn't just built on appearance. It isn't built on how romantic you are or how well you text. It's built on how a woman feels when she's around you. And if you, as a man, react to every mood swing she throws, if you argue over every shift in her tone, if you start chasing when she pulls back, you signal weakness. You become predictable. You become easy to control. But when you can sit in discomfort, when you can sense her pulling away and not overcorrect, when you can feel her silence and not chase it, you speak directly to a part of her mind that craves masculine stability. She starts asking, why isn't he reacting? Why is he so calm? Why isn't he breaking like the others did? And that's where the craving begins, because a man who doesn't fold under pressure becomes a mystery, and mystery is magnetic. Ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca taught that the strongest man is the one who governs himself, not the one who controls others, not the one who yells or pleads or manipulates, but the man who owns his own emotions, thoughts, and actions, regardless of what others do. When you become that man, a woman can't help but notice. Even if she doesn't show it, even if her pride gets in the way of reaching out. She feels the difference, because men who master emotional restraint are rare, and what is rare is always valuable. Now here's the twist most men don't understand. The less you chase her emotional chaos, the more she starts to chase your emotional calm. She becomes curious, she tests, she pulls back harder. Not because she's disinterested, but because she's trying to crack your frame. She wants to see what you're made of. She wants to know, can I trust this man with my heart? Will he remain strong even when I'm unsure of myself? And if you hold your ground, if you don't chase, don't panic, don't beg, you prove yourself without saying a word. She starts replaying your moments together. The way you handled her silence, the way you didn't try to fix her emotions, only to witness them. And in doing so, you become the anchor she never knew she needed. There's a reason why women often return months later, suddenly messaging you out of nowhere. It's not just nostalgia, it's because your emotional presence left an imprint. It didn't demand attention, it didn't collapse, it simply existed with power. And now that she's had time to reflect, to compare, to feel the weight of other men's instability, she misses what you gave without giving too much, the quiet strength of a man who knows his worth. So if she's not calling and you're tempted to reach out, don't. Not from a place of weakness, not from a place of desperation. Let her crave the man who didn't chase. Let her feel the tension of your emotional silence, because every night that passes, every moment you remain still, every time you don't give her the attention she expects, she starts to feel it more. That tension builds. And tension, when handled with grace, turns into desire. This is not manipulation. This is discipline. This is the wisdom of restraint, and it's what separates boys from men, noise from impact, and temporary flings from unforgettable presence. So, stay calm. Let her feel your absence, because the man who remains emotionally grounded in a storm becomes the one she searches for when the storm ends. If you've ever had a woman return, not because you chased, but because you stayed in control, drop a comment below. Chapter 3. When a woman regrets losing a man of value. There comes a moment in every emotionally deep woman's life where she sits with herself, truly sits, and begins to feel the quiet weight of her decisions. That moment usually doesn't come during the noise. It doesn't come while she's surrounded by attention, social media likes, new faces, or temporary thrills. It comes in stillness. It comes late at night. When the world is quiet, when she's lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she made the right choice, and most of all, wondering if you're still thinking about her. This is when regret begins to surface. Not just because she misses you, but because now she's starting to understand what she lost. A man of value. Not a man who begged. Not a man who pleaded to stay. Not a man who cracked under the pressure of her silence. But a man who walked away with quiet dignity. A man who didn't argue for his worth. A man who knew that being chosen isn't something you force. It's something you allow when your energy speaks louder than your words. This is where her heart begins to turn against her mind. Because the mind often tries to rationalize the loss. He wasn't perfect. He had flaws. I needed space. I wanted someone more exciting. But the heart only remembers how you made her feel, safe, valued, admired. And no matter how much she tries to replace that, she finds herself comparing. Every man after you is subconsciously being measured against your calm, your focus, your control. She smiles in public, but feels the void in private. Because there's something about losing a man who never tried to prove himself that stays with her. Something about your stillness that haunts her, louder than any words you ever said. It's a strange kind of pain for her. She'll watch your stories but won't react. She'll replay your voice in her head, but stay silent. She might even talk about you to friends, disguising her emotion behind jokes or casual comments like, "He was different. He was too calm. He just disappeared." But beneath all that is a woman who wishes she could go back. Back to the man who didn't flinch. Back to the connection that didn't require games. Back to the feeling of being seen by someone who had nothing to prove. Because here's what most men don't realize. The more grounded you were, the more present, more emotionally centered, more disciplined, the deeper the impact you left behind. Women regret losing men of value not because of grand gestures, but because of the internal shift you caused. You showed her what peace felt like. You gave her a standard of energy she didn't know she needed until it was gone. Now she's remembering how you held space for her emotion without being overwhelmed by it, how you listened without judgment, how you didn't fold when things got tough, and how, when she started playing emotional chess, you simply stepped away from the board. That's the kind of move that lingers in a woman's heart, far longer than any sweet words ever could. She regrets it now. She won't say it, not immediately. Her pride might stop her. But her body remembers, her spirit remembers. Because feminine energy is wired to respond to emotional leadership, and you were that. Now, this doesn't mean you take her back. It doesn't mean you run back in the moment she calls. It means you understand this. A man who lives by his values will always be missed because he is rare. You don't need to punish her. You don't need revenge. Your growth is enough. Your peace is enough. Your silence is already teaching her more than your presence ever could. And eventually, she will reach out, maybe subtly, maybe directly, maybe too late. But by then you'll be stronger, clearer, more focused on your mission, your purpose, your inner peace. Because the truth is, when a woman regrets losing a man of value, she doesn't just miss the relationship, she mourns the version of herself that felt safe with him. That's a grief no other man can soothe. Only you held that energy, only you brought that presence. And once a woman has tasted a man like that, the rest feel like echoes. So hold your ground, let the silence speak, because regret is loud when there's nothing else to distract her from it. Or if you've ever had a woman come back after realizing what she lost, drop your experience in the comments below. Chapter 4. How to remain powerful, even when you still miss her. Let's tell the truth, brother. You miss her. You miss her laugh, the softness in her voice, the way she looked at you like you were her world before she stopped. You miss the way she leaned into you when she was tired, how she clung to you like you were home. But here you are now, alone, no calls, no texts, no signs, just memories, flickering images you can't unsee. And some days you wonder, how do I stay strong when everything in me wants to break? Listen carefully. This chapter isn't about pretending you don't care. It's not about suppressing your emotions or becoming numb. It's about learning to miss her without losing yourself. Because real power isn't never feeling pain. Real power is feeling it, fully, and choosing not to let it control your actions. The Stoics taught that what we feel is not what destroys us. What destroys us is becoming a slave to that feeling, letting it dictate our decisions, letting it pull us back into situations that no longer serve us. So yes, you miss her. That's human. That's love. But don't let missing her make you betray yourself. Don't text her because you're lonely. Don't go back because you're tired of healing. Don't accept crumbs just because you remember the feast. You must learn to sit with the ache without trying to erase it, because that ache is shaping you. It's forging something deeper inside you. Resilience, direction, masculine depth. And as painful as it is, the space where she used to be is now your opportunity to grow, to upgrade, to become the version of yourself that doesn't need validation, doesn't need rescue, doesn't need someone else to complete you. This is your rebirth. This is your silence sharpening you. But here's the trap most men fall into. They confuse stillness with waiting. Let me say that again. Stillness is power. Waiting is weakness. Don't mistake your discipline for hope. You're not holding back to maybe hear from her again. You're holding back because your peace matters more than attention. You're moving forward not to make her jealous, but because your future deserves a stronger version of you. Because if you let missing her pull you back into her orbit, you lose the momentum your healing gave you. And let's be honest, would you really feel whole again if she texted tonight? Would your heart feel peace or just temporary comfort? You're not the same man anymore. You're becoming a man of value. And a man of value doesn't run back to what hurt him, no matter how sweet the memory. Instead, he honors the past, but serves the future. He misses her, but doesn't chase her. He remembers her, but he remembers himself more. There's an ancient Japanese proverb that says, though you fall 7 times, stand up 8. But let me add something to that. When you rise the 8th time, Rise a man who no longer rises for anyone else's approval. You rise because your mission calls, your purpose demands, your peace deserves it. So when the nights feel heavy and your chest feels hollow, sit with that pain like an old friend. Don't rush to silence it. Don't run to distract it. Let it teach you. Let it deepen you. Let it remind you of who you're becoming. Because the most powerful man isn't the one who never loved. It's the one who loved fully, lost deeply, and rose anyway, with fire in his soul and clarity in his eyes. She may be thinking about you every night, but you're rebuilding yourself every morning. And that is what makes you unstoppable. Have you ever missed someone, but chose yourself instead? Share it in the comments. We're building something strong here, together. If this message spoke to your soul, brother, like the video. Share it with another man who needs this truth. Subscribe for more wisdom. Modern society refuses to teach men. This is Stoic Golden Tribe, where strength meets stillness, and where men rise in silence and lead with presence. See you in the next one.